Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
You know, it seems like I say this at the start of every broadcast because it's true. I sit here looking at all this news and I just marvel at what is going on and how fast the tyranny is moving, not just here in the U.S., but worldwide. At the same time, the awakening to what is going on is happening, but you've got all these criminal interests that are running the government and some of the major corporations, and they're made up of individuals. They're bound together for their lust for global domination, but the individuals just don't care if they're getting caught. They don't care if they even get in trouble. It's kind of a feeding frenzy of evil and despotism and looting, what you tend to see before things fully collapse. And they've got plans to consolidate power during that collapse. And the plan is a police state so that we are converted from being a wealthy Western world to being a third world / old world tyranny. The news is obviously off the chart. And what I said yesterday is now being borne out to be accurate. This is the first salvo by the new larger majority of the good old demo rats in the Senate. And El Presidente, who has shown he doesn't even care what the Congress does on any issue. This is dictatorial. Obama is, by all measurements now, a dictator. And he's acting in a dictatorial fashion. That's not disputed. And they are announcing they're going after all semi-auto handguns and rifles and, quote, inexpensive firearms and, quote, firearms that can be converted and basically everything. They are coming for our guns. And people say, well, there's no way they'll do that. Oh, yes, they will. Yes, they will. They will implode the economy, bring us into a depression, launch some hardcore wars, and say you're basically terrorists if you don't hand them in, and blow up federal buildings and blame it on patriots. Now, that is in the New World Order crime syndicate management team known as the Obama administration. That group of coaches running this crime syndicate team, their favorite plays are stage terror attacks, stage crises to be blamed on Americans that love freedom and understand they're a bunch of criminals. And they are planning to absolutely stage all sorts of stuff. This attorney general was intimately involved in the cover-up of Oklahoma City. We know Clinton's people carried it out. That's been proven. It's covered in the film I'm in, Noble Lie, all the documentation. Expanding on that, if you go out from that point, this attorney general staged Fast and Furious to blame the Second Amendment. He was deputy attorney general then in '95. And you can see all the pre-programming, all the conditioning, all of it moving into that. And now they're not facing re-election. Now they've got the media, the corporate media, basically going along with anything they want or anything they push. And we are moving into that sector of maximum threat of false flags sooner rather than later. Now, let's be clear. Exposing the false flag threat paradigm, the inside job, self-inflicted wound, stage terror event, exposing the frame-up may actually derail it. Or if they go ahead and stage it, we've now got our people everywhere, and that's what scares them. There were patriots that picked up on what happened with Oklahoma City and exposed it day one. They had to kill some cops and other people to cover it up. And we've had, their families and others on the show to break it down. At the same time, now when they have an underwear bomber, we instantly have operatives of liberty on the scene to blow their operation wide open. So we've got the globalist off balance right now because they know they can only stage this stuff when you're dumbed down. And just because they got 50, 60% of the public slobbering and not knowing their name, a large portion of us know exactly who we're dealing with. All right, when we get back, they're now announcing it is KKK to own guns. This is mainstream news being promoted, and we're going to break it all down straight ahead. It's bombshell information. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Alex Alex Jones, your host. It is already the 4th day of December, 2012. Our news websites are Infowars.com, InfoWarsNews.com, PrisonPlanet.tv, PrisonPlanet.com. That's just some of our news sites out there. We've got a ton of reports that I will get into dealing today with the fact that mainstream media worldwide, that is corporate, state-run, globalist, bankster-controlled, New World Order, cartel, crime syndicate, mouthpiece, propagandist, dehumanizing, weaponized brainwashing systems that spew cess and distorted propaganda at us 24/7 are imploding en masse worldwide. The rout of these people is accelerating, while the alternative media in all of its stripes is turbo-surging, exploding, going mega supernova. Now, in fact, just because I mentioned that, let me just give you some of those headlines here. TheWeek.com, the New York Times latest cutbacks, proof its digital strategy is failing. French news agency, Murdoch iPad Daily failure, a lesson for digital news. Murdoch's The Daily to shut down. Kurtz, worry about fate of CNN, last bastion of television journalism. You mean CIA run? Belcher, we're going to be getting into some of that. And then I've got other articles here. Speaking of propaganda, yeah, that's news. What's not dying is propaganda in Hollywood movies and sitcoms and dramas paid for with taxpayer money. Tens of billions of dollars a year on record spent to put anti-gun, anti-family, pro-abortion, anti-male. I mean, you see all these messages in dramas, sitcoms, medical dramas. It's everything. My wife tries to watch television sometimes, and she says every show she watches is just, you know, you're a terrorist if you don't want to take vaccines. Anybody who's a homeschooler is a child molester. Ron Paul is a drug addict. Just on and on and on. Yeah, that's government run by foreign banks engaging in psyops against you. And that's not rhetoric I just put out. That's what it is. That is sensational. But we've got this normalcy bias. Here it is. New film critics. Zero Dark 30 named Best Film. Lincoln wins multiple honors. All of this Lincoln stuff is getting everybody ready for a Federalist takeover. When these people are actually anti-Federalist. And then you've got Zero Dark Easter Bunny. I mean, a total fable. And then the White House is involved in the production. And there's the beautiful redhead with the Spec Ops guys. And, oh, they're so incredible. And they're Superman. All pure bull. Just absolute baloney. I mean, they might as well have a movie, literally, where a Easter bunny with a halo flies in from deep space as a Chinese jet pilot, lands, disgorges 100 Keebler elves, and takes out a 7-headed Hydra dragon laying golden eggs in Obamabad. Jack and the Beanstalk, whatever you want. Fables, fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel, the tortoise and the hare. Santa Claus. I mean, it isn't real, ladies and gentlemen. And they blew up one helicopter full of SEALs to shut everybody up. And then they blew up the other helicopter full of them. And I talk to people and they go, really? I don't ever heard about the helicopters blowing up. I mean, they blow up helicopters full of them. They killed Pat Tillman to cover stuff up. They killed Private Lynch's, most of her team, because they said she was cowering in fear. And she had to go public, or they were going to kill her probably so they could come out and get women to join the military. It's all PR because you sit there and take the position of small children. Here's McClatchy newspaper, Washington Bureau. Al-Qaeda-linked group Syria rebels once denied, now key to anti-Assad victories. What do you mean? For the 21 months of this, they admitted like 18 months ago Al-Qaeda was the group they were shipping in and running the entire group. I mean, that's been admitted the entire time. The CFR 3 months ago said, of course we're running Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda's doing a great job. And literally, if you try to go anywhere now, cops come up and say you can't film. You can be on the side of a road. You can be, I had one of my photographers out last week taking photos. We said we need photos of a bunch of surveillance cameras for the magazine. So she's out taking stock photos for us. Great photographer. And they come over to a nicely dressed, clean-cut lady, and they say, you look shady. You're not allowed to take photos of the federal building. Get out of here. Bunch of guys around her. I mean, meanwhile, it's like, come on, man, you run Al-Qaeda, you run the drugs into the country. The feds even run child kidnapping ops. On record congressional testimony. Just leave me alone, you little idiot, you little nobody posing like you're James Bond. The toilet attendants that work for the federal government think they're James Bond, and they festoon themselves in uniforms and outfits and little badges and little scan cards, and they go to these big compartmentalized crime syndicates and all feel like they're official and all this baloney. Oh, you can't take photos or video in America because you might be a terrorist. Yes, a little blonde woman. Oh, yes, you're so evil. I mean, what a grandstanding, drama queening joke. You people blew up the World Trade Centers. You people shipping the narcotics on record. Just get off my back. And I know most people working with the federal government, you literally are just doing little menial jobs. But, I mean, just give me a break. I mean, if you didn't get the memo, foreign banks already run this country. They're trying to mop up the alternative media because the mainstream media is imploding. Wait till I get to the top news. Al-Qaeda-linked group Syria rebels once denied, now key to Assad, anti-Assad victories. I mean, it was admitted 6 months ago, they'd go in and tell a father, we're going to kill your wife and children if you don't go suicide bomb. And they would have the news media, the New York Times, CNN, BBC, film it, and they'd put it on the news like these guys were heroes. And then the public would freak out and go, they're making people suicide bomb and they kill their families? That's horrible. Oh, yes, we're going to pull that video now, or pull this video. We're going to, I mean, they've got Christians chopping their heads off, throwing them off the tops of buildings, lining up people, shooting them. Al-Qaeda killed tens of thousands of black Libyans, flying Al-Qaeda flags, slaughtering 24/7 still. And I go to the airport and somebody walks over and goes, oh, you're Alex Jones, you're a troublemaker. Where are you going? What you doing? What you planning? I'm behavioral assessing you. I'm deciding if I'm going to allow you to board this aircraft. And I'm just like, you really are a tyrant. This is total fantasy land. You don't like me because I don't live in Fantasy Island, man. I just can't take it anymore. It's such a joke. They're announcing nationwide under federal grants, even though the state legislature of my state has said it's illegal under the Constitution, guilty until proven innocent, checkpoints everywhere where they're going to search your car under the name of DWI checkpoints. While this country was built on whiskey, if you do your research, and I'm not even saying that's a good thing, and they've got liquor stores and bars everywhere, and they wait till you get in your car when you've had one or two drinks, and they CPS your kids, and they take you away to raise revenue for their now admitted in court huge quotas everywhere. Hell, the cop taking you to jail is probably drunk. And it's so insane and it's so illegal. And the feds are announcing nationwide that the local police who've been federalized are asking that all your text messages be saved for 2 years. That's like saying we need to take your letter out when you mail it, make a copy of it for 2 years in case you do something wrong. It's called guilty until proven innocent. Oh, but everything the government does that's supposed to be public, it's all secret under national security. And, of course, it better be, because you're wondering where your kid disappeared out of the backyard. Well, it was flown years ago to Europe to be raped and have your child's head blown off for snuff films. And, that even comes out in the news. It's back of the paper. Yeah, well, the government was involved, and, yeah, DynCorp's involved, and it's no big deal, though. We're going to set up a checkpoint and search your car and dig through everything because it's a free country. I tuned into local talk radio this morning, and they were endorsing how great it is, and it'll save lives. Oh, yeah. That's why our life expectancy is dropping and our cancer rate's up almost 3,000%, because the government wants to save our lives because the government's real nice people. Hey, folks, in fact, let me just back that up since I just mentioned those things. CNET News. That's CBS. CBS Net News is what it stands for. Cops to Congress. We need logs of Americans' text messages. Yeah, no warrants, no nothing, and we just get everything. They're already doing it with their threat fusion centers. They can just flip a switch and the cops screen everything you're doing, turn on cameras in your cars. Oh, they're calling for that federally and in the state where I live. I got to hear clips of that on the news this morning driving in and it all being endorsed. That breathalyzers on all cars, like France wants for everybody. For first it's, well, if you've ever been driving while intoxicated or even driving under the influence, you'll have a breathalyzer in your car. But now in Europe and areas, it's, oh, just everybody has one. Cops to Congress, we need logs of Americans' text messages. State and local law enforcement, that means federal goons, who go and say, oh, Satan, will you please enter my heart? When Satan's already runs them. They've already been taken over by the feds, and they're like, oh, we're inviting you in, vampire. Oh, the locals asked for us to come. State and local law enforcement groups, not peace officers, want wireless providers to store detailed information about your SMS messages for at least 2 years in case they're needed for future criminal investigations. Yes, and we need cameras in your house. The Houston police chief 4 years ago said they want cameras in all of our houses just in case something. Oh, by the way, they already do that in England now for almost all new people that have kids. For 6 months, there's a camera in there with the social workers watching you guilty until proven innocent. Texas police officials, not servants, want permanent DWI checkpoints. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. While their Texas deputy police chief wants DWI checkpoints. Yeah, Nazi Germany had them. Why not? I remember when they had a federal grant to do this before the legislature banned it. They would shut down all of I-35. You'd have traffic for 30 miles back with cops just pulling people out of cars, searching vehicles. Oh, and by the way, the TSA is announcing they'll be in all 50 states on all highways, searching your vehicle and groping you. That's in the news today. But when we come back, if you're a gun owner, you're a member of the KKK. That's the... We have witnessed Jones here back live. We have got masses of key news on so many subjects coming up. Lindsey Williams, always informative and thought-provoking, is joining us in the next hour, and then Max Keiser will also premiere a special report that I have produced with Aaron Dykes dealing with the all-out announcement and admissions. They've sounded the bugle. The establishment is coming to disarm us, and I'm going to break down why. But here's the deal. When Bob Costas went on Sunday Night Football and said, I agree with this columnist, so let me just read off the teleprompter and quote him, that handguns are bad, you have no business having them, and that the gun culture is what the NFL has. That is a pure scapegoating. That is an attempt to blame the Second Amendment, law and order, Constitution, super low crime rates, on record, areas that are constitutionalist. The media would call it conservative. It's just an absolute fact. You pass concealed carry, crime drops on average 25%. It's an absolute fact. The higher the gun ownership, the lower the crime rate, the more polite people are. But you've got a gangster culture in rap and hip-hop, but also in a lot of the rock and roll now, that's I'm going to kill you, I'm going to shoot you. And you've got people in these cities where they've banned guns killing each other at worldwide record numbers. Worldwide record numbers where they ban guns. Just like Mexico has some worldwide record numbers. Total gun ban for the citizens. So Costas comes out and he says, hey, it's the Second Amendment's fault. And, you know, they fired Hank Williams Jr. for saying our country's becoming a tyranny. They fired him for saying that on another show. Well, this was said during the Star-Spangled Banner. This was said during the beginning of the game, and there were other similar comments I've now learned because I wasn't watching it later in the game. I've gone back and found them on YouTube, where they were blaming the Second Amendment, not the drugs, not the corrupt culture, not the prescription drugs, not the concussions, not the gangbangers, spoiled, rotten culture. That's like blaming dog owners for Michael Vick killing pit bulls and electrocuting them and torturing them and all this. Saying, well, we've got to ban dog ownership, which is what PETA, by the way, says. They says it's abusive to have animals, period. So let's just ban dog ownership because Michael Vick did something wrong. Hey, because one person drives drunk, really drunk and inebriated, drives recklessly, that's what you charge folks for. Back in the day, oh, you were recklessly driving. That's what you're charged for. I can see it. You were out of control. Boom. Serious jail time. Not, oh, you had 2 beers, you're going to jail. But again, this is everybody's guilty now. Oh, we're just going to set up a checkpoint on this highway or major road, and we're going to search and breathalyzer all of you and have no refusal where we take blood if you say no when we stick a breathalyzer in your face. That's what all these federally funded no refusal weekends are. Now it's no refusal ever because we say so, rubber stamp fake warrants. See, it's, oh, somebody did something wrong with the gun. You're going to lose your gun now. And this Fox Sports columnist that Costas was quoting, Jason Whitlock, I then discovered yesterday afternoon that he was on a syndicated radio show and doing other interviews. There's multiple ones, and we're going to play the clip when we come back from break. Openly saying that if you own a gun, you are KKK and that you want black people to kill each other. So it's not the fault of the gangster rap saying, kill, 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 I'm so manly. It's not the fault of Chicago, corrupt government banning guns, or New York or other crime syndicates that have seized great American cities. No. It's the fault of white people. He actually says this. White people are racist and are KKK, and the NRA is KKK. Folks, if the NRA doesn't sue this guy, and I'm not litigious, but man, when somebody gets up there and says, you are KKK, white people are KKK, NRA is KKK, if you believe in gun ownership, not only is it pure slander defamation meant to hurt people on its face, the measure of boom, you are convicted, of slander, of defamation, of libel. Ladies and gentlemen, it flies in the face 180 degrees, perfect lies, perfect fraud, perfect scam. Do you know on record, and AP, Reuters have had to admit it, Daily Caller's got a great boil down, basically copied from Choose the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. We've made films about this myself. It is on record. We've got another report coming out on this that I shot last night, but we were up here, it was up here past midnight, we didn't get it out. We went and got the history of it. Do you know who in the southern states got the first gun control laws passed in 1867, 8, 9, and 1870, when more than 15 states passed laws against the Second Amendment, the first ever? Do you know who got it passed? The KKK literally lobbied, and even lobbied in Washington, and there's even photos from the time, and got gun laws passed. I mean, the KKK created gun control in this country, and this pig blames the Second Amendment. State, Bob Costas of NBC, Jason Whitlock of Fox Sports, coming out, and now I'm reading more of this guy's writings. He says gun ownership is racist. He says owning guns is evil. And he says that the NRA is, quote, the new KKK. And actually, that report is now out, the video report, at Infowars.com. There in the featured news. It's my other report on Bob Costas coming out and saying, let me clarify my statement to USA Today. And he says in the report, and that video is going live right now where I break that down, he says in USA Today that you're too stupid to understand what he meant, and that he just thinks there should be reasonable restrictions on guns, and that means you can't have a handgun. He said he thinks it's fine if you're under the proper controls if you hunt. Here, let me read the quote here. In favor of people owning guns to hunt and carry them in a responsibly controlled circumstances like Chicago, New York with total gun bans. So there you go. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the police can't and won't protect you. It's time you demand the right to keep and bear arms so that law-abiding citizens don't get thrown in jail when you take on the basic human right of defending yourself. Now, before I get to this clip, I want to explain something to Jason Whitlock of Fox Sports. Buddy, we are coming after you. Okay, the Second Amendment is my line in the sand, and I am calling for Fox Sports to fire you. You need to be fired. And if the NRA doesn't come after you, then I'm going to have a problem with the NRA, because they've just said the NRA and the, quote, gun culture are white supremacists who want to kill black people. I'm going to play the clip, okay? And I'm sick of it, okay? Look, the globalists, the media, they use race as a weapon. Oh, you don't want government-run health care written by insurance companies? You're a racist. Oh, you don't want checkpoints? You're a racist. Oh, you caught bribery at the state capitol with a white guy. Or they called up and said, are you a racist against black people? And I'm like, what? The Austin American Statesman. And I said, is this a real number? Are you really a statesman writer? Let me call you back. I call back at the news desk, get the guy on the phone. This happened 12 years ago. He's like, do you believe I'm a reporter now? And I was like, yeah, why'd you ask me if I'm a racist? And the guy started laughing. They're cold-blooded, folks. They use this as a weapon system. You give us your money, you give us your rights, or I'm going to call you a racist. Well, good, call me one. You've got to call their bluff on this, folks. The way they've set up the prisons and the prison culture, they put everybody in the prisons, the whites, the blacks, the Hispanics, the Asians, if it's on the East or West Coast, in 3 to 4 different groups, where you've got to join a race gang or you're dead. And the system wants this. The Democratic Party got caught being the Ku Klux Klan, and they got caught running all this, so they stole the big socialist experiment from Teddy Roosevelt and government largesse and outdid the Republican Party because, in their own words, as Margaret Sanger said, it's the only way we're going to be able to kill all the black people. And now they've got these house organ propagandists that go out and Judas goat black folks, Hispanics, you name it. And you notice black folks can have groups that are race-based. You can have the Hispanic groups called La Raza, which means the race and all this stuff. Because the system wants to get all that as a race-based system that government controls while telling white people they're inherently evil. Give the government and the foreign banks all your tax money or you're a racist. So we have to go after Bob Costas. Look, he came out with this insulting apology. It's not an apology. It's a clarification, USA Today said. And then they changed the headline overnight. In fact, I've got that back in Dew's office, the article before they changed the headline. If somebody will go find it, it's laying around somewhere in his office. It's somewhere around here. I was up here till like 9 at night. NBC's Bob Costas' take on criticism of his gun comments. It was Bob Costas clarifies his statement. Now they've changed the headline again, and it's his statement through his PR person that basically you're too stupid. He says he feels unfortunate leap was taken that he was advocating taking away the Second Amendment rights. No, he just plugged a column and said he totally agrees with it, calling for banning handguns, and said handguns are evil and you shouldn't have them. Exactly what the White House and Eric Holder and all of them are announcing. They're going to ban handguns, physical possession, make you turn them in, and rifles, all semi-autos, and even non-semi-autos that they say could be converted to semi-auto. They're already announcing they want to ban most shotguns, most rifles, most handguns. It's on. They're now claiming that revolvers are semi-auto, even though they're not. But who cares? I mean, you know, the president says he doesn't need law anymore for the UN to run the military or for him to sign an executive order on cybersecurity and not let Congress see it or shut down power plants or signing statements, on and on and on. Obama says he'll have the most open presidency, most closed ever. Says he won't sign executive orders, signs more than all presidents combined in 4 years. On and on and on and on. Says he's fighting the NDAA. Wrote the NDAA. Says he won't sign it. Signs it. But all these idiots sit there. Yeah, here's the USA Today. I guess there's been 3 different headlines. Look at this. Bob Costas' take on criticism on his gun comments. Find the original one. I can't. There's so many copies around here. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to play the clip. This just gets me so upset, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is violent race baiting. Violent. I will listen, I got up here and I said DynCorp. That's the biggest private CPS contractor in the United States. That's another fact. Well, it came out in congressional hearings, was running kidnapping rings of women and children by the tens of thousands in Europe, and they didn't even get in trouble. And that was in the Chicago Tribune. It was in the BBC. We've made films about it. Now, if that wasn't true, if you're a new listener and you just tune in and go, this is crazy. Yeah, reality is crazy. Stalin and Hitler and Mao were crazy. History is wild. Truth is stranger than fiction. I'm not the crazy one. I got my head screwed on straight, and I'm freaked out about this and want to motivate you to wake up so this nightmare doesn't get worse. I'm like somebody in one of those old movies where they're, you know, in the temple looking for the gold, and all of a sudden the water starts pouring in, or the sand starts pouring in, and the walls start closing. And I'm like, we got to find the trapdoor escape hatch or we're dead. They're like, take it easy. It's not that bad. I'm like, no, we've seen this in history. This is dangerous. We need to revert. Oh, no, I like the rising water. It's like a hot tub. But just because you got a bunch of brain damaged, mind-numbed, fluoride heads, Prozac heads out there, they don't count if they want to be mind-numbed. It's those of us that know what's going on. We're a larger minority, black, white, old, young, it doesn't matter, who love freedom and know what's going on. We are a giant minority compared to the tiny elite minority. So we need to stop freaking out if some of our neighbors laugh at us because they're so insecure. When they hear something scary, they just want to laugh at you. And people say, Alex, you're trying to scare us. Well, those are cowards, folks. Cowards don't count. Because they're a coward, they think you're trying to scare them. People say, I get scared listening to your show. You get scared? All of that is already there. This evil's already happening. It's not going to go away denying it. And I'll use the analogy of, you know, there's a burglar breaking in your house. And your wife's like, get up, Bob. You're like, you know, Marge, be quiet. You're scaring me. And you hear the guy breaking down the door. Marge, stop waking me up. You're scaring me. You're a fearmonger. Well, Marge isn't a fearmonger. She's saying, get up, Bob. Get up, Bill. Get the shotgun. Don't you understand that? My wife's heard banging and noises before, and she's like, get a gun. I'm like, you get it, honey. Well, what if I'm not here? She's a great shot, but, you know, women need to think about that, too, that because obviously I know if something's banging, you know, out in the woods or out in the country, you know, that it's just sound bouncing from the next little farm or something. But, you know, women are like, what is that? You know, oh, my gosh, do something. The dogs are barking, and I'm like, you know, get the shotgun. I'm like, honey, you get it. This is a good drill. That sounds like a backhoe digging at night. Oh, that is what it is, you know. But it's so simple. I'm not telling you all this because I live in fear. Folks, I'm willing for them to kill me, which they might do, to be able to get this out to warn you so these people don't win. Not because I'm a hero, but because I want my children to grow up in a free country. I at a fundamental gut level, genetic level, just like a dog growls at a bad man, I got my hackles up, snarling, and I'm snapping at the New World Order, trying to hit its Achilles heel. And it's so fundamental. I'm trying to get you moving. Hey, they're knocking down the door. They're coming in. Get ready. I'll use a Lord of the Rings analogy because I just watched that after probably 5-6 years of not seeing it. My son's old enough now, 10, I think, to see it. Plus, it's got some good archetypal, you know, information in it. I think overall a healthy story. And, you know, there's the scene where they're down there in the mines of Moria that's been taken over by the orcs 50 years before everybody's dead. And they drop a bucket down a mine shaft, and all of a sudden they hear the drums, boom, 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 boom. And they're reading the annals of the last fight there in the throne room about drums, drums, drums in the deep. They are coming. They are at the door. I mean, did they say, stop it, Gandalf? Don't tell us the orcs are coming. You're a fearmonger. No, it's like, get ready. They're coming through the door. I mean, did people come to their windows and say, stop it, Paul Revere? How dare you say an invasion force is landing? How dare you say they're coming to take our guns? How dare you? Because it already happened in other areas of the country. Did people come out and say, how dare you? I think you're a traitor. I think you're working for the Redcoats, Paul Revere, telling us they're coming. Oneth by land, twoeth by sea. They're coming. They're coming. Drums, drums, drums in the deep. Is it drums in the deep? They're doing every tyrannical thing you can imagine, parading up and down in front of us, getting the police and the military ready, demonizing the founding fathers, demonizing private property, demonizing homeschool. I mean, just exactly what you would expect in a Red Dawn scenario, what would be taught in a re-education camp. And I've got the training videos. I've put them out publicly where the police are sitting around when they're demonizing George Washington. FEMA is to firefighters, police, and sheriff's deputies. And the cops, they go, who are the terrorists? George Washington, good job. You see the police nodding their heads. You see a few kind of shifting in their chairs. And the FEMA guy's watching. You're all being assessed in there. If you watch the body language, they're assessing who doesn't. And tell us what you thought of this. Tell us what you thought of this little meeting we just had. I mean, these are enemy operatives who've seized our federal government and seized most of our states, parading around everywhere. And now they've got Fox sportscasters giving talking points to NBC and the NFL, and that stuff is pre-approved by the NFL. I looked it up. Not that I needed to. For Bob Costas to read off a teleprompter and say handguns are bad and they're what's to blame here. And now you are the KKK if you believe in the Second Amendment when it is on record. And we have the news articles in the video up at Infowars.com right now documenting the entire history of this. Anti-gun sports columnist Jason Whitlock, the NRA is the new KKK. I guess we inadvertently borrowed the headline from the Daily Caller that actually... Well, they didn't break it, but they got the story out yesterday on that. That's where we saw it. And then I guess when I shot the video, that's the headline we used. But there it is. That's a video right there where I show all the documents, all the articles, all the history. It is on record. The Ku Klux Klan was the lobbying arm that got gun control passed in this country. And, you know, I'll tell people that say, oh, let's take this group's rights or that group's rights because they're poor, they're whatever. Folks, it will be used on everybody. Just from a pragmatic position out there, just like Tony Brown says, whatever is done to the black community is done in your community. So even if you are a tribalist, a racist, whatever, understand whatever's done to any group will come back on you. That's the way the universe works. But let's go ahead and play this clip. Anti-gun sports columnist Jason Whitlock, the NRA is the new KKK. That would be like, that is equivalent to saying Rosa Parks was a grand dragon in the Ku Klux Klan. It is that. No, it's like saying Martin Luther King was a grand dragon. I mean, it is that over the top. And this is all scripted, ladies and gentlemen, because this is what the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center say. More anti-American groups that are funded by foreign banks on record. I mean, this is a takeover. Hey, I like freedom. Shut up, racist. Hey, I don't want government health care and the government having death panels and running what care I can get. I really didn't think it worked too well in Europe. Shut up, racist. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they sit there like it's a weapon. They smile when they say it like you're supposed to go, oh, man, you really got me right there. You're right, I'm bad. Take my guns. Take my guns. So here is the guy that gives us talking points to Bob Costas, who we must boycott. Here he is. Jason Whitlock, and Fox News better reprimand this guy. But you know what? Constitutionalists have been trained to roll over. The NRA will probably say, don't call us racist. We promise we're not. They probably won't even say the Ku Klux Klan got the first gun bans passed. It's, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, actually, we are racist. Thank you for calling us that. I mean, it is ridiculous. Here is just part of the disgusting transaction on the syndicated radio show where he was speaking. Here it is.
You know, I did not go as far as I would like to go because my thoughts on the NRA and America's gun culture, I believe the NRA is the new KKK.
Wow.
And that the arming of so many black youth and loading up our communities with drugs and then just having an open shooting gallery is the work of people that, you know, obviously don't have our best interest. And I think it's obvious if you travel abroad and travel to countries where they actually have some legitimate gun laws, we don't have to have what we have here in America, where people think a gun somehow enhances their liberty and where people think that a gun somehow makes them safer. It just doesn't. A gun turns some kids listening to music into a murder scene. And, you know, if you don't have a gun, you drive home. You know, kids are listening to some loud music. You don't like it. That annoys me. You go home and complain to your wife. When you have a gun, you open fire potentially.
All right, that's enough.
Take the life of a
The full
child.
clip is up at Infowars.com. And it is just asinine. I mean, obviously, the places with these high crime rates is where they disarm the general public. It's total gangster rap where they glorify killing each other across the board. And then people get killed. And it's not the gangster rap fault. It's not that culture's fault being sold by MTV. It's not the fault of the, quote, liberal media pushing and saying how great all this is. It's not the fault. No, it's the fault of the NRA, who's the new KKK, who defends the Second Amendment so black people kill themselves. Unbelievable. Now, there is a tiny grain of truth in there. You notice he talked about the drugs so the communities destroy themselves. Yeah, they bring in the drugs so all of us become enslaved. But it's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen, that this is what they're now going to push. Incredible, incredible that our society is degenerating and breaking down, and the only thing frustrating crime is the Second Amendment, and the statistics all prove that. Unbelievable demonization and race baiting, disgusting. He needs to get in trouble for it. So let me analyze what's happening with the gangster culture. Men are designed, when they hit about 12, 13, 14, to want to become warriors. Because any culture that didn't have strong young men that were ready to fight got overrun, enslaved, and exterminated. So humans across the board are ready to fight. In fact, they get us kind of an artificial cowardice by young people never actually having conflict. It's actually important that young people get in controlled things like boxing and good old-fashioned schoolyard brawls, because it teaches you by increments. When you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, pretty soon you start getting hurt real bad. You learn how to not get in fights unless you absolutely have to. But then you also have confidence, and you're not a coward. With real power comes control. Instead, you've got arrested development people that don't even really know how to fight, and so they listen to stuff all day that's about how I killed this guy, I killed that guy. They think that's what a man does. They get a gun, they go out and kill somebody. Or they go to rob houses because that's what's cool. You know, young white girls, it's a big fun thing. Black kids, Hispanics, you name it. It's gangster culture. And people get shot all the time. And now they're trying to indict homeowners. When one guy shot this teenage girl robbing his house and she laughed at him. That's how delusional they are. So he shot her again. And then he admitted that to the cops. They go, well, we're going to arrest you then. You shouldn't have shot this girl robbing you. The point is that there's a real world out there. And even if you have to defend yourself, it's a very serious situation, not just out looking for trouble all day. But that's what the punk culture does. And 9 times out of 10, punks start something, and then once you're ready to deliver, then they back off. They want the symbol of the power. But I read all the time about people being beaten to death in these brawls. It's not just guns doing it. And it's because society's degenerating, we need more guns. And the gun culture is really starting to spread, and that's why they want to brand it as the gangster culture. No, the gun culture is Americana. Rugged individualism, take care of yourself. Don't point a gun at somebody unless you're getting ready to use it to defend yourself. Don't use a gun offensively. Use it defensively. Hey, guns, I'm absolutely programmed from training since age 4. I don't aim something at you unless I'm going to pull the trigger. I don't aim something at you unless you're invading my house and threatening me. Or if you have, by the way, I think I can take care of myself in most fights, but if I happen to be around a firearm and you attack me for no reason, I'm just going to go ahead, because you could kill me, I'm just going to go ahead and defend myself with lethal force. I mean, it's that simple. I'm not playing games with people, okay? And I'm not looking to kill somebody to feel manly and big either. You understand that? But I'm looking to live here. You see, I'm a real nice, sweet guy that rocks my little babies to sleep at night. And it's because I have love that I'm ready to kill to protect my family. You understand that? It's not because I'm a tough guy. It's because I got a life force. I'm here to live. I'm here to thrive. I'm here to build. I'm here to uplift humanity. And we've been taught that civilization means you're a, I don't want to say effeminate because it's an insult to women. You are domesticated, weak, limp-wristed men and women. And people are discovering empowerment. They are discovering how good it is. And liberty is being reborn. That's why they banned dodgeball and then jogging and wrestling. That's why they're trying to ban competitive sports now. They're trying to ban boxing. They're trying to ban mixed martial arts. You know, there's big calls for that with the same crowd that runs Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They want us domesticated where the elites have specialized killers and we all just sit here and take it. No. If you want freedom, if you want love, you better get ready to defend it physically. because a nation of sheep will be ruled by wolves. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Monday through Friday, we are here 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. We have Lindsey Williams. He says he's got new breaking information. Hasn't been on the radio in about a month, period. He's joining us. Max Keiser coming up. I'm going to intersperse a ton of news. TSA seeks permission to conduct security assessments on highways. That's checkpoints. They're already doing it. Now they're going into all 50 states. TSA is creating and maintaining a watch list of Americans who violate its policies, and then they're going to try to stop you from flying. That's what every authoritarian system sets up before they start arresting people en masse, rounding you up. Breaking, does new photo prove Trayvon Martin killing with self-defense? Yeah, they'd had robberies in the area. Zimmerman was following him. He got assaulted, shot him. Was it smart to follow him? Probably not. But did the Justice Department seize on it to create racial division and to go after the Second Amendment? Yes. That's the talking point. Guns are racist. Continuing, guns did it like spoons made people fat. I know I beat that to death, but it's true. So we're going to be getting into some of that. Queen's dad pushed to his death by madman in Times Square subway station, pushed in front of an oncoming train. Well, the answer is ban hands, because somebody might push somebody. I mean, that's obvious. So a guy killed some of his family with a bow and arrow. USA Today reported. Man killed father in Wyoming bow and arrow attack in front of a computer science class not long after fatally stabbing his father live. His father's living girlfriend at their home a couple of miles. Well, it's obvious answer. Ban knives and ban bows and ban arrows. Ban spoons, ban hands. I mean, this is pretty obvious. Fox Sports, Bob Costas, NBC. Ban it. In fact, if you guys punch up Infowars.com, there's a new Adon Salazar, Alex Jones article. Alex Jones calls for boycott of NFL, NBC, and Bob Costas. And I kind of recorded a transcript, and he wrote an article on it of why I'm saying we need to boycott. I'm going to have Adon also add my new video reports that are up on YouTube. They're also up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. There's a whole plethora of them up there. Here are some of them. Fox Sports writer, the NRA is the new KKK, ban guns. The NFL is helping Obama ban guns, boycott now. Everybody said, why are you putting a tie on yesterday? And I said, well, this is the bugle sound to attack the Second Amendment. They're coming. They're coming. Drums, drums, drums in the deep. Get ready. They're at the door. I mean, I got to put a tie on, man, for full battle formations. I mean, I think I'm going to start wearing a suit and tie every day. I'm serious. I mean, this is, because if it adds that little extra edge of people paying attention to what I'm saying, I mean, I could wear a crown like Queen Elizabeth. I could give myself, I could call myself CEO of Infowars.com and the biggest alternative media, multimedia empire in the world, and wear a red cape and have bugles. Being sarcastic, but humans are primitive. We like to dress up. The Queen of England wears a royal headdress, and everyone steps and fetches, and, Your Majesty, billionaires, movie stars come and bow. I mean, I wouldn't bow. I'd tell her, hey, Dracul. In fact, I've got some articles. The Duchess of Cambridge, pregnant, could be twins, Kate. And it says she's the first commoner ever in the House of Windsor, that fake PR name. It's Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. They ought to be proud of their German heritage. Oh, but they're not German. Well, ought to be proud of your Romanian heritage. Nothing wrong with that, except you are Dracul. By the way, listeners always go check that, and I see people freaking out in the YouTube videos when I mention that. They go, I went and looked it up. It's AP, Reuters, BBC, it's true. Prince Charles lives in the Dracula Castle. What do you think, I just made that up? Oh, the people that rule the world just so happen to be from the House of Dracula, the dragon. The dragon. And we're all supposed to, twins, because there's the Queen's sisters and people all had to be locked up. They're so inbred. So they finally, their genetics are so bad, they had to go get a commoner. I thought us commoners were scum. We'll be right back. And if you just joined us on this Tuesday, the 4th day of December 2012 edition, Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com are absolutely full of incredible information today. And I'm going to ask Lindsey Williams' take on gun control coming up. He's going to be our guest for the balance of the hour. And then Max Keiser on the economy and a lot more. Great financial insider in the third hour today. We'll open some phones up for him then. But we're going to spend our time here with Lindsey today until the last 10 minutes or so. And then we'll take just a few questions from callers as well. So if you have any questions for Lindsey Williams, we'll give that number out coming up a little bit later after we get his latest intel. But first off, anti-gun sports columnist Jason Whitlock, the NRA is the new KKK. And I played the clip last hour. It's up at Infowars.com. I'll play it later for Lindsey after we get the latest info he's got from his insider sources, Pastor Lindsey Williams. But this is so over the top, but it's not. I mean, if you don't like socialism, you don't like your taxes being raised, you don't like having your guns restricted, you don't like your freedoms being taken, you are a racist. And if you don't like wars, you're with Al-Qaeda. Of course, here's McClatchy News Bureau, Washington Bureau. Al-Qaeda-linked group, Syria rebels, once denied, now key to anti-Assad victories. They are the main force. Our government's given them thousands of missiles, including anti-aircraft missiles, to Al-Qaeda. Okay? But you need to give your rights up, and don't you dare film police on the street because you might be Al-Qaeda. Then all the police training manuals say gun owners, conservatives, returning veterans, libertarians, we are the terror threat. Homeland Security, the NSA wiretaps, it's all for us if we don't like the globalist takeover, the foreign banks that have taken America over. They brag in the Financial Times, the BBC, Reuters, everything. CNBC, we've played the clips, our article, banks declare they've conquered the U.S. and Europe, dozens of links with them admitting it. This is the reality. And they're going to blow stuff up and blame it on the Patriot movement, okay? They've even got Army documents out we've covered where they're saying the Tea Party is going to link up with Al-Qaeda. I mean, you're like, that's ridiculous. They'll do it. They'll get drugged up patsies, you know, Billy Bob with a John Deere hat and put him next to Habib Ahmed and, you know, come take our guns. I mean, these people mean business. They shipped guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment and kill thousands so they could ban guns, but got caught. So there you go. The government runs Al-Qaeda. It's not the entire government. It's the foreign banking cartel. Some of the other news we've got here. This is as bad as a world war. Bank of England boss's grim view of financial crisis, which has left a debt that will, quote, be paid by our grandchildren. This is a global crisis, engineered, impossible to pay back, 1.5 quadrille, 1,500 trill, 644 trill is our debt. J.P. Morgan claims they control the government to sign us onto their debt while claiming we're bankrupt when we're not, to then raise taxes to pay it in corporate welfare to them, to destroy the economy, to consolidate it. They want to make you poor. WorldNet Daily reports Dr. Corsi, who's an incredible economist in his own right, $3 trillion tax increase on middle class. That's his breakdown. The Republicans have announced giant tax increases as their compromise on the upper middle class and wealthy. And that's how they do it. The bankers want the middle class money. So Obama says, I want financial dictatorship and $3 trillion in taxes. And the Republicans go, how dare you? Only $900 billion in new taxes on the middle class. And to get rid of all these different deductions, $600 billion there. They've already gotten rid of most of the deductions, folks. They're going to, and again, it will put this economy into a stall, which is the plan. IRS aims to clarify investment tax. They got a new 3.8% tax on most of your investments, on top of your capital gains, and on top of all the dividend taxes, and on top of all the other income taxes, and the new VAT they've got at state levels, and the federal VAT, and the new carbon taxes, and all the hidden fees. Continuing on CBS, Cheesecake Factory CEO warns Obamacare will be very costly. Yeah, just get ready for everybody to become part-time, which is what they want. They want to make you poor. They know when they raise taxes, it kills the economy and makes less money come in, which is what the bankers want. I've got articles here where Obama says he wants us to go off the fiscal cliff. They want us bankrupted. What do banks want? You paid for 20 years on a farm. In that 20th year, folks, in that 19th year up to that 20th, they will try to call provisos that you didn't understand when your dad signed it and come try to take your property. Anybody who knows about farming and ranching knows this, okay? Because my entire family has been in farming and ranching, and I've had a lot of extended family who's gone and, you know, mortgage property when somebody's got cancer. And 20 years later, you know, they come and take it the last year. and call in the say, oh, well, there's extra interest we didn't tell you about, so, or 3 or 4 years before it's due, they say we want it all this month. The mega banks create all the fiat out of nothing. They want you to go bankrupt. Now, joining us, and I got a lot of other news coming up, is Pastor Lindsey Williams. Back in the 80s, he wrote the bestseller, The Energy Non-Crisis, saying there was unlimited oil in Alaska more than Saudi Arabia, and then they made a deal with the Arabs in the 1970s. This was all later declassified in the 90s. To not allow development here in the United States, basically, and to, as long as the Arabs did all their oil trading in the dollar, to cement it as kind of a Bretton Woods II. They claimed Bretton Woods II a few years ago, but this was the real Bretton Woods II, to cement the dollar as the world reserve currency. Now, he called it 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago. He said oil will go from $60 a barrel to $150 in the next year. Everybody laughed, did exactly that. Then he said now it will drop from 149 to 40. It actually went to about 38. Everybody laughed at that. It happened. I know who his big oil company exec people are. One of them's been announced now. He died of cancer a year and a half ago. The other, I know who it is. Dr. Stan Monteith found out who it was, called the guy. The guy said, yes, that's true, but I'm not going to talk to you. Now, the point is these guys also could be wrong sometimes, because even though they're high-level globalists, I don't just go with everything they say, and I don't completely trust them. And, they said they've said some things, too, that haven't happened exactly right. And I want Lindsey to, correct me if I'm wrong here. Lindsey, you did say about 2 years ago there'd be giant discoveries that we know are already there all over the U.S., a new oil boom, that we would become independent and double-cross the Arabs. Now, things change, as you said. Now Obama's kind of been trying to double-cross the oil groups for the Arabs. But that's all a way to rope-a-dope the Arabs, I believe. But, you're saying the dollar will die by the end of this year. Well, here we are. And then I talked to a lot of other insiders and see the news that they're going to go ahead and energy develop as a way to try to keep the dollar propped up and extend this out so they can pick winners and losers. Now, this is a very complex issue. I know you're chomping at the bit to talk. But I know you haven't been on the air in over a month because you've got a lot of new information. But just don't thank me for coming on either. We appreciate you for coming on. But in a nutshell, what is happening, what is going to happen, and has your source been wrong about anything, your sources, or am I misinterpreting some of this?
After the election, Alex, I contacted my elite friend, whom you just mentioned, whom you know, and I asked him the question, what can we expect for the next 4 years? The reply I got, the only way I know to describe it, is the most startling thing that any person has ever heard since the founding of the United States of America. I was given 10 agendas that the American people will face in the next 4 years' time. It took me 3 hours and 29 minutes to explain this on DVD just to be able to tell what this man had told me. Now, I have all 10 of those agendas in front of me. We'll do the best we can today to cover them. People positively must know what they are, and you must know what to do about it.
Okay, well, I'll say this. About 90% of what these guys have told you has been startlingly accurate. But then why are they telling you this info, and then some of it has not happened like they said, like, Obama isn't going to win and things like that?
Well, they didn't say that Obama was not going to win, and this is where people misinterpret what the elite have told me. The elite told me that they did not want Obama back in, but as you stated a moment ago, these elite are not God. They just think they are. Now, they have 10 agendas that they have given me that will be carried out. Some of them are theirs, some of them Mr. Obama's, and some of them are and you're going to hear some expressions today you've never heard before. I'm going to give you some buzzwords, and you watch them happen over 4 years. There is a renegade elite out there, and I'll attempt to explain it depending on how much time we have today. Let me just give you some of the agendas. All I'm going to do is give you...
Okay, I want to do that, and I'm going to skip this network break. I really shouldn't do it, but I'm going to skip it because I went to you a little bit late here, and Max Keiser is coming up the next hour at 5 after. But just listen for just a moment. Answer my first question, though, because, I mean, I hope they're wrong, or I hope they've changed their plan. I mean, I know, you know, they told you things that did come true that showed total inside control, like the fuel, things like that the housing market would be crashed. You know, 2 years before it happened, exactly how it would be done, all of that. What I'm asking you here is, Lindsey Williams, Pastor Williams, I'm asking you this. Are they still planning to kill the dollar this year?
Well, that's exactly what they told me. But let me put it in their terms so that I don't misinterpret what their intentions are. There will not be a collapse yet. The elite do not want a collapse. And I think Ron Paul, but not yet. Now, it is going to happen, but not yet. Now, you remember last year, Alex, you came to me and I went to my elite friend and I said, is there going to be a collapse in the next 3 months? And he laughed and said no, and I came back on your show and told it, while all the other newsletter writers were saying there was going to be a collapse when Greece collapsed and all the rest. I'm telling you right now, and I'll give them to you quickly, the elite do not want a collapse yet. They have not created enough debt. Secondly, please understand these words. The second agenda, forced debt creation. I hope you're hearing these words, and I'll attempt to explain it in detail if I can. There is going to be forced debt creation. Next, the middle class. I was horrified when I heard what they said that their agendas are for the middle class. You're hearing all of this Tommy rot about taxing the rich. Don't you pay an ounce of attention to it. Oh, sure, the rich are going to be taxed a little bit. You haven't seen anything yet. The middle class of America is going to be taxed into oblivion, and I'm going to give you the details of it.
That's actually in the Republican and Democratic plan. They're going to get rid of all the exemptions and tax all the middle class 401ks. It's all being announced. They're going to tax the dividends. They're going to tax it all. It is outrageous, and the Republicans are going along with it.
Alex, I have been given a formula. I'm going to give it on your program today if we have the time. I've been given a devaluation formula so that you can know when the dollar is going to collapse. Now, that's right. You heard me correctly. I have the formula right here before me, exactly as my friend has given it to me. Again, the debt limit is going to be suspended. Mark my words. You are going to see, as a result of this, some very unusual things happen in America. Again, the dollar will be phased out over the next 4 years. Did you hear me say, over the next 4 years? This is not going to take place instantaneously.
Well, that's what I've always said. Okay, that's what I always said. Well, then why did the former oil company CEO of one of the big three, why did he tell you that it would that the implosion would be signaled by December? Has there been a change of plan, or was he trying to manipulate the markets?
No change in plan whatsoever. You heard me say that the elite had told me that the dollar would be dead by the end of 2012. And if you give me enough time on your program today, I'm going to prove to you that the dollar is already dead. I'm going to give you the exact words that they said to me.
No, you're right. They've already, well, that's what I've been saying.
Why it is.
Yeah, there's already a war with Iran. There's already a war with Syria. People are like, where's the war? They're already moving to SDRs to back up the derivatives above the dollar and are already moving to a basket. China and the BRICS and others are leaving the dollar. They're going into gold. I agree that the rush to the exits is about to start. But at the same time, people are getting up now. The rush is about to start. I didn't see it in my experts, which I go with a wide spectrum of experts. You know, they said it would be a long decline. But then I guess that's what they meant with their riddle then, you know, saying that the dollar would be dead by the end of 2012.
The dollar is dead. It's already dead right now. The American people, the chickens just haven't come home to roost, and the American people don't realize what the rest. Okay, come on.
So it's like Spock in Wrath of Khan. He's been radiated, and they say, don't go in and try to save him. He's dead already. He just hadn't physically died yet.
Okay, let me give you an example. This happened last week. You heard about it. It was on the national news. You know what happened in Phnom Penh? 15 Asian nations comprising half of the world's population. And they met together in what they call the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership and the United States of America was excluded. Our president went over there to attend the summit. Now, this is an association of China, India, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, 3 billion Asians, 1/2 of the population of the world, and they said we're not going to use the American dollar anymore for the sale and trade of our products amongst ourselves. Americans, what you don't realize is the dollar is already dead, and these trillions and trillions of American dollars are floating around out there, unwanted, unused, and you say, oh, but Chaplain, I can go to the grocery store and I can still buy groceries with the dollar. Okay, I'm glad you can today. You better buy all you can get in that cart, because when things like this, Phnom Penh and what happened with BRICS, when they met together and said we aren't going to use the American dollar any longer, the dollar, I tell you, is exactly what the elite told me back a year ago. The dollar is already dead, and 6 to 9 months from now, when these trillions of unused dollars come home, it is going to be massive chaos in this country with the dollar like you've never seen before. Alex, you need to understand the total program of the elite as they've given it to me, so that you can comprehend what these people are doing.
Well, no, I agree with what you're saying, and I also monitor the CNBC and others where they give you a lot of spin, but they also want to cover their bases with irrational exuberance type statements when they're controllers or the authors of the irrational exuberance. They want to warn you right before they draw the trap once it's already too late. They're saying now there's no way we're going to get out of some moderate inflation. Get ready for it. Inflation is already rampant in so many sectors. They just make the bag of chips smaller, the bag of Tide smaller. They make the meat thinner. They make the packaging different. Everything is exploding in prices year after year after year.
Alex, there are some, I don't know how to say this. There's so many factors here I've got to cover. There are some new factions out there right now that nobody has ever heard about. You haven't even heard about it, Alex. Please forgive me. You hear about everything. But no newsletter has come out with this. If I had not been for my elite friend telling me, and I'm going
to do this. Run through your 10 bullet points.
One of the 10 agendas of the elite.
Okay, run through the 10, just list them, and then go back into them. I think that's the way to go.
Well, that's what I've been doing right here. I said there's not going to be a collapse yet. The elite are not ready for it. There's going to be forced debt creation. I hope you've caught that. The middle class is going to be taxed into oblivion. Folks, you have got to know the intricate details of this. The devaluation formula, I've been giving it to you. You can know. When you hear it from me, as the elite gave it to me, you can know where you are in the devaluation of the dollar. The debt limit will be suspended. The dollar will be phased out. I'm giving you these one at a time. The dollar will be phased out, and I have the details as to how they're going to do it. There's new factions out there that you've never heard about before. Again, this one I hope you find very startling. There will never be another honest election in the United States of America. It's already planned. It is part of the agenda of the elite. I have been told where gold prices are going to go by the end of 2016. They've given me the figures on it. And Alex, I think probably, my being a minister all these years, I think probably one of the most startling things I've heard from my elite friend is the agenda of the Devil's Messiah program, which you've heard me talk about on your program before. But for the next 4 years, the agenda of that Devil's Messiah program will almost curl your toenails. Again, there are millions of Muslims that will be brought into the United States of America and made citizens over the next 4 years. And then when they told me about what's going to happen to the medical system, the last item is you must become your own doctor and become that own doctor quick and know how to do it, Alex.
Wow. You know what? I actually have in my stack and was going to try to get to it today, where no one... They're saying it's not even 1/10 the number of people that wanted to go see Obama's first coronation 4 years ago, and that no one wants to go. And I'm not saying Mitt Romney was good. He was owned by the same people, but obviously they wanted to put Obama back in because he was the more effective evil, not the lesser of two evils, but the more effective of two evils, as Cynthia McKinney said last week, former Congresswoman on the show. But clearly, Bev Harris, the top election fraud expert, been a Democrat, said, you know, the evidence is they pretty much stole the election for Obama. And that's what you see now. They're going to go to full fraud and just say, oh, this gives us a mandate to take your guns. He got reelected. This gives us a mandate to raise your taxes. They're calmly announcing giant taxes on basically all mutual funds, stock investments, portfolios, 401ks that are invested in that. I mean, this is off the charts, and it backs up everything you're saying, and it's just over. They're taking over unless we fully realize it.
Alex, you're exactly right. Now, let me go into some of these one by one, because people, you positively must know the solution to all of this. And when I got through producing that 3 hour and 29 minutes of DVDs, I was horrified.
Well, we're going to break here, and we're going to plug that as well, because I know it's serious when you go and actually...
I need to let people know what I had to do. I had no choice. I could not morally, I could not conscientiously. We produced a second DVD series that they both put together entitled How to Survive the Next 4 Years, and it's over 2 hours long. Now let me go into the agendas a little bit.
All right, we are. And I'm also going to tell them where to get that. Obviously, prophecyclub.com, folks. And he only does this every once in a while when he gets a bunch of info. And I mean, he said oil will go to 150. Everybody laughed, went to it. Now it's going to go down to 40. Happened. They're going to plunge the stock market, and you know, all of it with accuracy. And I hope he's wrong this time, but we'll go through his sources' intel straight ahead. Monday through Friday, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, blasting out on XM 166, over 140 AM and FM affiliates, and the internet, of course, with the audio streams and the podcast and the listen section at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Now, I'm chomping at the bit here with so many points and angles. I'm going to give Pastor Williams the floor now for the balance of the hour. I'm going to give the number out, so in like the last two little short segments, 5 minutes in the next hour, we're going to have a few quick questions. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231 for quick questions for Pastor Williams, who I'm going to have on the show for a full hour next week to flesh this out more. Now, I know who his sources are. One of them is public now, who died of cancer over a year ago. The other, again, gives him this info because I guess they kind of want to have a remnant out there that knows what's going on, or it's guilt. I think that's basically what we've gotten from Lindsey. But it doesn't mean that it's all going to be 100% accurate. But it's been startlingly accurate on so many fronts. We're going to go back to him in a moment, and he has produced a new DVD breakdown. That's why he wouldn't come on the last month since he got this info. And you can get that at prophecyclub.com. We'll give you all the numbers and names and things before he leaves us, but it's right there on their front page. Now, speaking of products, we fund ourselves with the best books, the best videos, the best information, things that I think are really informative, we promote. And so when you buy an Infowars.com ball cap, you support the broadcast, and also wear your colors proud, and you will meet a lot of like-minded patriots wearing a ball cap or Infowars.com T-shirt. We have the new Strategic Relocation DVD film with Joel Skousen. It doesn't mean run off to the hills. It's got maps of all the major cities, breakdowns of the safest escape routes in those areas. It's an amazing documentary. The film is available 2 hours, 40-something minutes at InfoWarsStore.com. Makes a great Christmas gift. Also for Christmas gifts, or in the holidays period, we have never had an offer like this until this year. We have the regular Christmas special where you can get 5.3 months off free. You pay for a year, and instead of it being $5.95 a month, it goes down. And if you do the math, it basically means you buy 6.7 months and you get 5.3 months free. That's how much is off the price. We've had that for now. This is come into our 10th year doing this. It's almost 10 years we've had PrisonPlanet.tv. Hard to believe. You can, though, this year, go create a username and passcode that you can share. Just a new username and passcode that's unique to the site. Takes about a minute to sign up, and 10 people can be logged on with that simultaneously. That's 10 memberships, or 59 cents a month per membership. You can't get a cup of coffee anywhere, 59 cents. Folks, that's an entire month for 59 cents. We've done the math. If everybody actually used it, we would go bankrupt with the bandwidth. But you give away 10, maybe half the people you give it to will actually watch it. My book, Paul Watson's book, all my films, HD, nightly news, the live radio show, the video, archives, a bunch of other films, thousands and thousands of pieces of material, the commercial-free podcast, all of it up there, prisonplanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com. And lastly, we've got Pro Pure water filtration, the top of the line, best price, already lowest price on the gravity-fed filters that cut out the hundreds of things that are being added to the tap water. Well water, all of it, you should run it through. This is what I use. We got 15% off with the promo code WATER15. Just put WATER15 in at InfoWarsStore.com or call us and say WATER15, 15% off, the already lowest price anywhere. And I challenge you to find a better price on water filtration, gravity-fed, period. But this is Pro Pure that blows away the competition. We have side-by-side comparisons at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. Now, enough from me. Lindsey, I'm just so excited today. I'm going to shut up, go through the 10 points, go through their agenda, go through the takeover of the churches, which I first heard you talk about years ago. Now everybody I know, no matter what type of church, Catholic, Protestant, Methodist, you name it, it's turn in your guns, world government's good, families are bad, sex changes are good. And I mean, this is a takeover through the faith-based initiative. So you've got the floor. Just roll with it. Go through it all. Pastor Lindsey Williams.
Alex, you requested that I give you an exclusive on this. This is the first show that I have ever given this information on. Now, I do 3 other shows later in the day today. This is the first show that anybody has ever heard this information. Now, let me try to take them one at a time. I'll only be able to cover 2 or 3 of them. First of all, you heard me say a moment ago there's not going to be a collapse yet. Let me try to explain why. The elite, as they've explained it to me, have not created enough debt yet. They want such massive debt created that every country, every state, every city, every individual in the world is in such debt. Now, I want to give you an expression that you want to watch this happen. You won't hear this unless you know one of the elite. Forced debt creation. They are going to force debt on not only countries, not only on the United States of America, states and cities in this country, but watch. Let me try to give an example right here. You remember years ago, I got an American Express credit card back 30, 40 years ago. And American Express back then was nothing but a credit card company. Last year, American Express was forced into becoming a bank, no longer a credit card company at all. This is part of what I'm trying to explain to you, that the elite are going to force debt creation. They forced them to become a bank. Then they turned around on the QE1 and QE2, and they took over the banks basically for all practical purposes and made them so in debt because the amount of the money that they gave them until they forced them into debt creation. Now watch what's happening to the students of America. You've heard a lot about this lately. They have the economy to the point that a person cannot afford to go to college and do it like I did it years ago. I worked my way through college, bagging groceries, working here and yon, every place I could. You can't do that anymore. They have convinced the students now that they must borrow money from the government and get student loans. This is the most dastardly thing you can imagine of. They've created it in the minds of the students that they've got to have these loans, and it is done intentionally. They took it out of the hands of private individuals and institutions, and the government now is handling it. They want those students to be so in debt when they come out of college that they are under the total control of the government and eventually will be able to go into bankruptcy. And every bit of this is a part of the agenda of forced debt creation. Now, this fiscal cliff you're hearing about right now, it's the biggest bag of wind I think I've ever heard in my life. It is not what they are projecting it to be at all. This fiscal cliff, so my elite friend has told me, is hopefully you're catching this, it is a part of the debt creation that they wished, and they're using the fiscal cliff words in order to get into your mind something that they want you to think. But on the backside of all of this is debt creation that is almost unbelievable. They
did the same thing 3 times in Europe the last 4 years. It's to terrorize you into accepting new taxes.
Exactly right. Again, please let me express to you, the elite do not want a collapse right now. And it may not take place for the next 2 years. It may not take place for the next 3 years. It is going to happen within this 4-year period. But in order to bring in the New World Order the way that they want it, they have got to force. I hope you're catching this word. I didn't say debt creation. I said forced debt creation in order to be able to create the atmosphere that they want of your acceptance of the New World Order.
That's why they make you buy health care, even though it bankrupts you, to go into debt. They're going to make you do everything. If they can't make you go on welfare, they're going to make you go under their system one way or the other.
Middle class, please. Oh, goodness, folks, you've got to know what they have planned for you. The middle class. Now, all you've heard is about the rich. Tax the rich, tax the rich. Come on, give me a break. This is nothing but a smoke screen. They are going to tax the middle-class American into oblivion. Are you catching this? Now, watch it. I don't know what kind of a tax they're going to put on you. But you won't mark my words. Before this physical cliff thing is over, you'll have in front of your eyes one of the most horrifying situations that you've ever imagined in your life, because they are only getting your mind ready for a tax, a number of different taxes. Number one, you may have a marginal minimum tax. It's been suggested. You may have a national sales tax. You already have an Obamacare tax. You see, they couldn't say you've got to buy Obamacare, but they could come along and say, we're going to tax you for Obamacare, and then this is a part of the debt creation.
3.8 tax on all investments, on pension funds, you name it, and that begins the takeover of those. That's Washington Post today. That's the Republican proposal. And then that's seen as the conservative proposal. That's how they bait and switch people. I'm just backing up what you're saying here. They're eliminating $600 billion in deductions, $960 billion in tax increases, and all that money, most of that money goes to the mega elite in banker bailouts. And they're going to tax savings. They're going to tax everything. I mean, this is just amazing.
You don't pay any attention to this business about tax the rich. It is a sideline. You, middle-class Americans, you have never seen anything. Now, all of this is for the purpose of and you heard me say a few moments ago that I've already been given a formula as to when you can know that the dollar is going to collapse. And they're working up to this point of that formula, which I'll give you in a few moments. Hopefully I have time to give you. Okay, let me go back to the middle class. You heard what Walmart did on yesterday. Number one retailer in the United States of America. In the Obamacare program, it says that if any person has under 30 hours of work per week, that they don't fall under the auspices of Walmart having to pay for Obamacare for them. You folks have killed yourself. You can't imagine how you should have rebelled against this. Do you realize that nothing but management personnel of Walmart are going to have jobs of 30 hours and more per week from this point on, and everybody else will be considered part-time help so that they don't have to pay for Obamacare? But that didn't happen by chance, people. Oh, my goodness, I wish I could get you to see it. This is happening by design, which I was told 3 weeks ago, my elite friend, when he told me 10 agendas that every American in this country will face, and when Walmart cuts down to 30 hours or less with all of those thousands and thousands of employees, do you realize that it is going to put every one of them into such massive debt that they are going to say, oh, government, please give us a food stamp, give us some welfare, give us a new currency, give us a new constitution. People, do you see what is happening to you, this massive...
They've doubled the food stamps from 25 million to close to 50 million in 4 years. This is the domestication, the sharecropper, oh, you're sold to the company store, total takeover. Get into that formula you were talking about.
Okay, here we go. Please, I hope you've got pencils and paper there, and you'll hear it explained in detail in my new DVD series. Here's the formula. You remember that when Bernanke announced that the Federal Reserve was going to purchase $40 billion per month of mortgage-backed securities, and, of course, I came out all over America and told people that what was going to happen, but then my elite friend gave me just the other day, and now I can see through it just as plain as day. what happened? As of every month, every single month that the Fed buys $40 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities, it automatically devalues the dollar between 3 and 4%. Did you catch this? Put it down on your paper. It automatically devalues the dollar by 3 to 4%. Now take 4% and start. Come on, use your calculator. Take that 4% and go every month of the year for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then tell me how much money you've got left at the end of the week. Okay, you must put food on the table. You positively have to put gas in that gas tank. And then you're going to have to put clothes on the back of the children and food on the table. Now, at 4% devaluation of the dollar per month, how long is it going to take before the dollar has such a small purchasing power that you can no longer pay the house mortgage? And this is what they want. They don't want you to be able to pay that house mortgage, because the day you can't, the Federal Reserve, who has already bought that mortgage-backed security, is going to come in and repossess it. They are the elite who want to bring in the New World Order, and they will own every piece of real estate, mortgage real estate in the United States of America. Now, add something onto that. Come on. Let's do some math here. 3 to 4% per month. Automatic devaluation so slow that you'll be like a frog boiling in the pot. You'll accept it. I hope you don't accept it. Number 2, add the new taxes onto that. You heard me say the middle class is going to be taxed into oblivion. You're going to see either a national sales tax, a marginal minimum tax. Obamacare has already come in. Okay, add something else onto that. Add on Obamacare. You haven't had to pay that before. Okay, see what you've got so far. You've got 4% per month devaluation. You've got massive amounts of new tax that you.
4% Obamacare. Then you got to buy the Obama. It just goes on and on. You're just adding it all up. Yeah.
Yeah, now Obamacare comes in. That's going to be a new tax, and it is a tax. The Supreme Court declared it. Next, put down increased food prices. You've got to factor these things in. Then you take a 30-hour-only work week for everybody except the managing personnel of every Walmart, Target, every fast food restaurant in the country is going to cut back and have more employees with less than 30 hours of work week. And you add that in, the fact that you can't make 40 to 50 hours per week now without having 3 or 4 or 5 jobs. Then you've got the Fed's $40 billion per month that the Federal Reserve is going to buy mortgage-backed securities. You factor in every one of those things and add them up. Please, you've got to do it. You must. And at that point, you will know how long it will be before they have created such massive debt in your house that you cannot afford to make the house mortgage payment. And that is what they want.
It is total economic warfare. We are going into absolute bondage, and everything you're saying is right here in the Washington Post. They just released it today. The Republican plan that's about half the taxes that Obama wants is a devastating $960 billion middle-class tax increase, elimination of deductions, $600 billion, $400 billion in spending cuts, and then it just goes on, getting rid of all the deductions, 3.8% Obamacare tax, not counting having to buy the health care. I mean, this is going to devastate. You're going to see probably 20, 30, 40% more go on welfare now. This is it. They're going to totally collapse this, Lindsey. How long will it take? A couple of years?
Well, I have been given, and I'm so glad that you just brought up the welfare situation, because when a person only gets 30 hours per week, there's no way in this world that they can afford an apartment, no way they can afford a house, an automobile. They've cut back, and I was just given how many people, come on.
Stay there. We're going to go there right now. With the breaks and all of it, we don't have time to go through all 10 points. So Pastor Lindsey Williams will join us an hour commercial-free tomorrow on InfoWars Nightly News. That is set up. We'll tape it in the afternoon. It'll air tomorrow night. And I can play some excerpts on the radio on the Friday show or the Thursday show. But I've got a bunch of calls for you here. Just mention some of the other points. You haven't gotten but to 3 or 4. Just quick abbreviation.